no future at all. Is there a way to be able to undo this vow? Rabbi Akiva said, what were the circumstances? He said, I saw she married a person who was a zero, a total zero. If I would have thought that he had the potential to learn one book of Torah or one chapter of Torah or even to master one paragraph of Torah, I wouldn't have said it. But it looked to me like he had no chance at all. Had I known that, I wouldn't have made the vow. Rabbi Akiva said, then I have the ability to undo that vow because I am that young man. The Gemara says that upon hearing this, his father-in-law bent down to the ground, kissed his feet, and immediately took 50% of all of his wealth and gave it to his daughter and son-in-law. This took 24 years of waiting. 24 years of waiting to be accepted by her father and for her husband to achieve a status, to go down in history as one of the greatest leaders of the Jewish people of all time. She saw the potential, she had the patience, and when she was tested, after 12 years of her husband being away from home and returning with 12,000 students at the time, the Gemara says he came close to the house and he overheard a neighbor telling his wife, how did you fall into such a terrible situation, such a terrible circumstance? A husband who marries you and leaves you alone like this? She said, he left me for one of the most important purposes in life. He's away 12 years. If he were away for another 12 years, I would have no objection at all if I know that he's achieving what his potential is in this world, in this life. The Gemara says upon hearing that, he turned around and went back for the other 12 years and came back with 24,000 students and was a complete success. Both he and his wife and his father-in-law ended up achieving success, going down in history as a success. It took time, it took patience, it took perseverance, it took self-confidence, it took faith in Hashem and faith in oneself, faith in the decision that a person made, and she and he achieved this great success. This is one of the most critical ingredients, Rabbi Nachman tells us, for each and every one of us to be able to apply in our own lives, in our own personal situations, to be able to know that there is this test, this hamtein, this waiting. When a woman becomes pregnant, we know that with all the advanced technology that exists in the world today, and all the wealth, and there's nothing more complex in existence yet. They haven't created a spaceship, an atom bomb that comes close to the complexity of a human body, a child that's being born into this world. On the eye, if we just take one of the organs of the body, the human eye, there have been thousands of books written to date explaining the eye and studying the human eye, and they still don't know. There's still a lot that the doctors admit they don't know just about the human eye. So we're talking about how complex a human body is, a child is. And yet, when a woman becomes pregnant, in many cases, for several weeks or several months, she has no idea that anything's taking place. She herself, nobody knows anything's going on, and this most advanced being in creation is being formed. And it's only afterwards, when they become aware and certain signs fall into place, that we see, we realize, and hopefully the joy that comes afterwards and the celebration. Hashem created the world in this way for a reason, for each and every one of us to know that there is this test of waiting in many cases, and in terms of, and if a person waits properly, they achieve this success. Doctors, religious leaders and doctors admit and acknowledge that whether it's physical health or any kind of success in life, stress, sadness, depression can only do harm, can only bring it down, can only hold it back. Whereas there have been people that have been in the worst situations, people that have been diagnosed as cancer patients and worse, even worse, and were able to fight it emotionally, fight it by forcing themselves, by summoning every ounce of energy they had and drawing on the strength and support of friends, of religion, of Torah, to be able to summon up the faith, again, faith in Hashem and faith in themselves, recognizing the problem, realizing that I have this problem, believing that the problem can be solved, having the faith, believing the problem can be solved, and wanting to solve it, really wanting to solve it, and being prepared to do whatever is within my power to solve the problem. Now here again, there are people, we know one of the most important things that Rabbi Natan speaks about is prayer. The fact that one of the greatest gifts that a Jew has is the ability to speak directly, and I mean really directly, to Hashem, the Creator. A few years ago, 2 years ago, I was in downtown Manhattan, and a friend of mine introduced me to a close friend, a Syrian businessman who owned a major electronics operation. And I came into his office, and his office was about twice the size of this room, his personal office. And when I came in, he was on the phone, and I had a chance to look at the walls, and I saw pictures of this person. He had a picture of him with the mayor, with the governor, with the president, all kinds of celebrities, all kinds of important people. And he was on the phone talking very exuberant. You can tell a little bit about what he was about. He enjoyed, this was his pride and joy. And he was talking very exuberantly on the phone, and it was early enough in the morning that I still had energy. And I figured, the Gemara tells us that when the rabbis would start a class, they would always start with a joke, something funny, to get people to perk up a little bit. And then they would switch into more serious issues. So he gets off the phone, and I look at him, and I said to him, can I ask you a question, please? He's looking, he's not used to being addressed that way by somebody seeing him for the first time. I said, if instead of me sitting here, if it were Bill Gates, and he had his checkbook out, and he had his pen in his hand, and he said, I have 4 or 5 minutes, could you tell me what you need? What would you say? And he's looking at this strange rabbi with the beard, with the look. He's trying to imagine, what in the world does this guy want from my life? And I said to him, no, I'm only asking that question because I'm privileged to meet with Bill Gates' boss on a daily basis. I actually speak to him every day. And he looked.